Welcome back to Africa This Week. Well, if you have been following latest developments on television, then you must have noticed it's that point in time, once in every 4 years, when nations of the world converge for the biggest sporting event on the planet, the FIFA World Cup. And as usual, Africa is in the mix, perhaps to literally string passes of opportunities, tackle poverty and outplay corruption in a bid to take maximum points on good governance by scoring goals that would ensure sustainable development. Well, that's a lot of oxymoron there. Well, joining me to dig deep on Africa This Week is Emmanuel Akindubwa, a sports journalist based in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
What are your expectations from the 5 African teams that have gone for this World Cup, considering that we have Morocco that has already lost a match,
and
Egypt?
Well, usually the expectations are high, especially on the part of African teams going into a major tournament like this. But of course, the performances in recent times has left much to be desired. But let's look back at how these teams qualify in the first place. From the qualifiers in 2017, when the qualifiers were concluded, to this moment in time, a lot of changes has happened. Morocco, as a matter of fact, went through the qualifiers 6 matches without conceding a goal. And perhaps they were the best African side from the qualifiers, followed by Nigeria, who of course qualified from a group that had Algeria and African champions Cameroon. Senegal as well, Tunisia as well, also qualifying after getting a result in Kinshasa. Against the Democratic Republic of Congo.
How do we then explain their performance yesterday?
The performance, I think, on the part of the Moroccans, it's largely due to inexperience. A large group of these players have never played in the World Cup before. The last time Morocco were at the World Cup was in 1998 in France. So this generation has never played in a World Cup game before. They started on a bright note compared to the Iranians, who were at the last edition in Brazil. But at some point in time, they flopped their chances and the Iranians got back into the game. So I think the inexperience also worked against the Egyptians, who of course lost in the dying minutes of the game to Uruguay
of Egypt,
in that one. So far, the inexperience is counted against the African team, but we hope later, when the matches progress, they would pick up their momentum.
All right, none of the African teams are in the top 20 ranking, FIFA rankings. So does that in any way reflect on how this tournament is going to go?
Well, rankings are just mathematical calculations. We've seen teams that, with poor rankings. Russia, in perspective, they are the lowest ranked team in the tournament, and
Indeed.
They did score 5 goals. So, yes, the rankings may give you an idea of what to expect from the teams, but on the long run, sometimes the rankings are just mathematical calculations. Tunisia goes into this tournament as Africa's highest ranked side. But are they the best team at the moment? Maybe not. Because, of course, another factor also working for them is that there's no marquee player leading the Tunisian at this tournament. So the rankings will be there. But, of course, we expect African teams to bring out the quality on the global stage.
The best people have said that Africans have gone at the World Cup is the quarterfinals. Do you think we will get to the semi-finals as the pig has predicted?
It depends on where you want to, put your, you want to follow what the pig is saying. The psychic pig. But the opportunities are there. Ghana was just a kick away from the semi-finals in 2010. Cameroon had to be bullied out of the semi-final place by England in 1990. Nigeria lost by a whisker in 1994. So Africans have always been getting close. Only the key moments when African teams lose it. In 2002, Senegal lost by a golden goal to Turkey. So it's always getting close. But will this current generation get that? I have my doubt, but of course there's a possibility. We've just highlighted Egypt, inexperience. Apart from that, they're missing their key man in Mohamed Salah. He sat out from the game yesterday. Morocco also having inexperience. We expect them to go into the tournament, but of course they are faced with the reality of facing Spain and Portugal.
When you say inexperience, they actually passed all the tests, the quarterfinals leading to the World Cup. How do you then say they're inexperienced?
Inexperienced in the sense that to play at the World Cup, the highest level of all, it takes beyond the skill. There's a whole lot of mix. We saw the game between Spain and Portugal yesterday.
Like it was previous appearances at the World Cup.
Previous appearances, playing at a competition like this, having a key figure in the team to pull the team together. That's what's lacking in some of the African teams that have taken to the pitch so far. But we expect that as a competition whereon we'll see them coming out much stronger. A lot is expected from Nigeria. Nigeria will be going into this tournament as the only African team that has appeared in the last 2 World Cup. But the only thing working against Nigeria in this tournament that we've not had this crop of players playing a competition of this nature in recent times. They've missed the 2015 AFCON, they missed the 2017 AFCON. So this is like a first major competition for this crop of player under the manager. How will they get their acts together? It's another game entirely. But of course, Nigeria, based on paper, based on the reality, may just be Africa's biggest hope at this tournament.
Indeed. Well, it is good to be hopeful.
Definitely.
African teams often perform brilliantly at youth competitions, youth stages. Why is it that they're not able to replicate the same thing at senior stages?
At the youth level, a lot is on ground. At that point in time, it's about the hunger, the determination. Lots of these players are coming from the streets, from the grassroots, getting to the world stage is an opportunity for them to sell themselves. Many of them, yes, there have been accusations that, yes, Africa present overaged players at this tournament, but that's not been proven. But the fact is that many of these guys are hungry. They want to make an impact at that age so that they could get interest from foreign and bigger clubs to sign them on. So when they get there, they do so well and get into that level where they're now big boys. Everybody wants to show, I mean, the mentality that I'm a bigger player and all that. So that's where it fizzles out at the national team. And the problem is that most African teams are built around foreign-based players. That's where the problem of African teams start from. I mean, most of those players play in Spain, Italy, Germany. All those countries have a different philosophy. Now, when you're building your players around players who are playing abroad at the expense of your domestic team, it affects your football culture, especially in a competition like this. Well, and one fact we know about the World Cup is that no foreign manager has ever won the World Cup. It's the domestic coaches who win it for them. So Africa needs to focus more on the home-based teams.
Well, 2 African teams have already lost their opening matches. Today, Nigeria plays, and we have already won Best Fashion Outfit for FIFA 2018. Does that mean
I'm not aware of that trophy yet.
Does that mean more wins?
Well, it's a morale booster for the team. The fact that a lot of support is coming from everywhere. Based on the fashion statement they've made. I hope they would pick up on that and give a good performance. They have a chance from the reporter we watched before, this moment. We have a fighting chance. Yes, all we need to do, go out against the Croatians. Yes, they have a better crop of players than we may have at this point in time, but go out there, keep your discipline at the back, take your opportunities when they come. We have a record of always doing well against European teams, especially at the opening game of the World Cup. So we have everything working for us at this point in time.
Well, some pundits have argued that Africa's poor football administration is responsible for our poor outings. What's your take on this?
I think I agree with that. The managers of football on the continent are more interested with the perks and the benefits that comes rather than developing. We don't develop football here. Nigeria won the 2013 World Youth Championship, won the 2015 edition. Where are those crop of players? Those are the players who should be forming the fulcrum of the team going to the World Cup and the Olympics in 2020. We don't develop players, perhaps because we have a lot of talents scattered around the world. We just feel, oh, when we need to assemble the team, we can always pick players from here and there. So that's the problem. We don't develop, and that's largely due to the fact that the administrators are not looking at the next 10 years, the next 20 years, unlike the European counterparts. At this point in time, when everybody's engaged with this, lots of European teams are playing friendly matches. Under 17, under 19s, under 21s. Where are our young players? Where are they? So we don't really develop talents here. We just take advantage of them when they've established themselves. So that's the problem, and the administrators should be blamed for that.
All right. What are your predictions for the African continent, at the World Cup?
Well, from what we've seen, it leaves much to be desired. I think Egypt will bounce back. They have a fighting chance against Russia, the host nation, as well as Saudi Arabia. Morocco, I think Morocco's tournament is done and dusted. They ought to have gotten a result against the Iranians because they will be facing the Spaniards and the Portuguese, who are a much stronger team. Portuguese are the European champions. So I may say, perhaps for Morocco, this may just be the end of the road. For Nigeria, it all depends on how the teams start up later this evening.
Tonight.
They need to get a result against Croatia, because we know that Argentina and Croatia and Iceland will cancel out the Croatians. Iceland have a great knowledge of Croatia. They played in the qualifier, so they have that familiarity.
Okay.
Argentina, of course, they have bigger players who would want to, of course, get the result against Croatia, knowing fully well that that's their second match. They need to win that game. So Nigeria need to get a result against Croatia, perhaps a draw or a win. If Nigeria can get the result against Croatia, I think we are in a good stead to qualify. Tunisia, I think Tunisia also have a fighting chance. They are in a group that is quite difficult. They've got Belgium, they've got England as well, and I think they've got Panama as well in that group. It's going to be a very tight one for Tunisia, but let's see how they go. But I think apart from Nigeria, Senegal also is another bright prospect for Africa.
To contend with in Africa?
The fact that they have the captain of the golden generation in 2002 leading this crop alongside the likes of Lamine Diatta, Tony Silva, who were also in Korea, Japan 2002. It's an opportunity for them, it's a motivation. And of course, they've got some of the best players on the continent. Sadio Mane, Sheikh Koyate, Keita Balde, Koulibaly. They've got a nice group of players. And the group they are in, Group H, is quite open. They've got Poland, they've got Colombia, they've got Japan. These are teams Senegal can take to the cleaners anytime, any day. So Nigeria, Egypt, Senegal, one of these three should get Africa to at least quarterfinals or semifinals.
All right. This current World Cup is taking place in Russia. When next do you think Africa will host the World Cup?
Well, it's going to be a very difficult one, because now FIFA has expanded the teams coming to the World Cup to 48 teams. And the reason is FIFA wants more commercial viability for the tournaments. It wants to make more money from the tournament. We saw Morocco bid against the bid from the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and they lost. Africa must, if we're going to host the World Cup again, it must be a pan-African bid. It's not going to be just one country.
One country.
It has to be a pan-African bid. Perhaps Morocco may need to partner with Tunisia or Egypt or Algeria in the Northern Hemisphere. Perhaps Nigeria may want to look at it and partner with the likes of Ghana and Senegal along the Western region. But it's not going to be one African country, just like South Africa did in 2010, to host the World Cup again. We need to come together and give a bid that could guarantee the rest of the world that the World Cup coming to Africa can bring revenue for FIFA and of course live up to the expectation.
Well, may the best team win, and all the best to the Super Eagles of Nigeria tonight.
We're expecting the team to start on the flying note, so that the jerseys would not be the only consolation we have after the end of the tournament.
Emmanuel Akinduboah, sports journalist, thank you for joining me on Africa This Week.
It's good to be here.
Well, the 2018 FIFA World Cup is already upon us, and as pundits and fans across the world assess the chances of all 32 teams competing in Russia, the story is no different in the continent, with many hoping it turns out to be the year for Africa, with either Nigeria, Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, or even Senegal going on to break barriers and exceed our expectations. I have been your guide, Fadishola Shotingwa. Many thanks for watching, and bye for now.